Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Taylor and today I'm going to be showing you a couple different things in Photoshop, hopefully to show you beginners how to kind of get started on learning from tutorials and stuff. There's a reason that there's so many beginner tutorials on how to replace the sky in Photoshop, and that's because you learn so many different things by learning how to replace a sky in Photoshop, whether it's, taking out a bland sky and putting in a really interesting sky with like clouds and a sunset, or if you're just like kind of taking and changing the clouds and stuff like that. You learn a lot by doing that. So I'm just going to jump right into this. Go ahead and open up your two different photos that you're going to use. I'll have links in the description to the two photos that I used. And yeah, I'll see you then. All right, so one of the photos that I decided to use is this. I figured, it's kind of a neutral, it has some orange and some blue, but for the most part, it's pretty neutral orange. And then there's this one, and at first I was just going to replace it with a sky that was kind of cloudy or had some clouds in it to kind of mix it up a little bit. But then I saw this sunset and I was like, oh, I really think that the orange in the sunset mixed with the turquoise color would really bring out the greens down here and really kind of, contrast them pretty well. So that's what I decided to go with. So to begin, we're going to go down here, and on both of our different projects, we have two different projects going. One of these is the one that we're going to be working with, and that's this one, the landscape. We're going to uncheck that so that it isn't locked, or so that it is unlocked, my bad. And then this one we're going to unlock as well. Then we're going to drag this over. You just kind of use your pointer tool and you drag it up over and then release, and it'll come over here. It is a little bit smaller than our landscape. Because we're working with such high resolutions, it's not a huge deal for us to upscale it a little bit. Photoshop will actually try to make it look a little bit better, as opposed to if you were upscaling it in, say, like Paint or something like that. But it's not going to be perfect. But because we're working in such high resolutions with these photos, look how far I can zoom in. It really isn't going to lose that much quality. We're not going to see that much of a difference. So let's go ahead and we're going to leave the sky on top. But if you look down here in your layers, if you click this eye, that makes that layer invisible so that we're able to work just with this layer right here. So we're going to come up here, and under your pointer tool, under your selection tool, under lasso, under all of these, we're going to click this, the fourth one, I suppose, from the top, and we're going to choose the magic wand tool. And I think the default is set to a tolerance of 20. Depending on what your photo looks like, I'll show you what 20 looks like when you select the sky. It doesn't choose all of it because it only selects from where you click a set of RGB values that are within a certain range. And that's what this tolerance is. That just sets the range a little bit higher. So if you set it to like 0, you don't really get much. You get like 1 pixel. If you set it to 18, you get a little bit more. Let's set it to like 66. Still not getting enough. 90 maybe? 90 seems to get all of it without selecting any of the other parts. Now, this is why I chose this image just for demonstration. It's very easy to cut out. If you'd like to, I'll have some other links in the description on how to cut out more complex objects like trees and leaves and bushes and all kinds of crazy things. But for the sake of this video, I just figured that I will choose something really easy. A plain blue sky is really easy to cut out. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to choose Select and Mask. And this is just going to allow us to tweak the settings a little bit, smooth things out a little bit. I'm not going to feather it, but if I was, I'd probably, I'll do like 0.5, just a little bit of feathering. And then the contrast, you can change depending on what you see fit. And then the shift edge, you shouldn't have to move very much. So I'm just going to leave that at 0. Oh, getting a little bit of lag there, I don't know why. And then press OK. All right, so we have a pretty good selection of our sky right now. If you come up back to our regular sky layer that we're replacing it with, we're going to turn that layer back on, and obviously it reappears. And we're going to come down here and we're going to click this button right here, which is going to add a layer mask. Now, the reason I'm doing this and not just deleting the other bits is because this is what I what it's called in the business, non-destructive editing, meaning that if you want to, you can come back in here later, and I might make another tutorial on this. It's fairly easy, and you can kind of brush back on. You see how I'm kind of adding back on without, you know, destructively destroying the new sky layer. So I don't like how much of the sky is shown, so I'm going to try and move it up. And as you can see, it moves up the layer mask as well. So how do we get past that? We're going to click this little chain down here, the link, and then click the sky. Make sure your little yellow rectangle border thing is around the sky and not the layer mask. So sky, and then just drag it. If you hold shift, you drag it perfectly up. So I'm just going to move that until you can't see any of the horizon on the sky picture. I think that looks really nice. I don't know. I think I just hit my mic. I'm sorry. Okay, now that we did that, we're going to go ahead and try and smooth this in a little bit better. Now, we've added this sky. It's okay. Looks all right. But it doesn't look perfectly blended. You know what I mean? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the curves of the entire thing. And to do this, this is a very basic tutorial, so I'm going to try and hold your hand through this. This little half circle down here, that half black, half white, click on that and add a curves adjustment layer. And this is a lot of playing, especially if you're a beginner. Just kind of play around with this and see like what looks good, what looks bad. I actually think that I'm going to drag this curves layer underneath the sky. So all we're doing is affecting this rock formation and the grass down here. Just kind of play around with it a little bit. Mess with the curves, add some points in here. Like that. So what I did was I added a point near the top, but I would say like 3/4 of the way through the curve, and dragged it up a little bit. And then I added a point somewhere between like 1/3 and half, and I dragged it down just a smidge. So what does that do? We can click the eye and turn this layer on and off. It just added a little bit of contrast in there, but I don't like how it kind of boosted the color of it. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to do hue and saturation using that same little black and white circle, and just drag the saturation down just a little bit. The sky is that of a sunset, so you really want to choose colors and stuff that make it look like a sunset. So at night and stuff, you have stuff that's orange, but at the same time it's starting to get dark, so you're losing a little bit of color, you're losing a little bit of light, so everything's a little bit darker and a little bit desaturated. So I'm just going to desaturate a little bit and then drag the lightness down as well. Oh, I think that looks so much better, so much better. Let's turn off the hue and saturation. Wow, that really does just change quite a bit. So if we turn off both layers, wow, that really does add such a huge change. Now if we go back up to our top layer, we're going to go back to down here on our little half black, half white circle, and then choose gradient map. Now I'm not going to get too deep into what a gradient map is, but pretty much it maps an RGB value of the image to an RGB value of a gradient, and then applies that gradient to the image. So let's say we just choose this rainbow just to kind of show you. Obviously this is a very extreme example and I would never do this, but just to kind of show you what each gradient does and how it maps it to the picture. Now, oh, why would you do this, Taylor? This looks terrible. A lot of people do this because it's very easy to affect the picture in very subtle ways. So I'm going to go, and a lot of people choose this purple to orange gradient. I'm going to start with that, and I'm just going to make the orange a little bit lighter, and I'm going to make the purple just a little bit more purple, just barely noticeably more purple, and press OK. And then if we change this blending mode from normal to soft light, it obviously you can see that it changes it a lot, and not the whole change isn't very good. But if we lower the opacity, let's start from 0. This is before we add the gradient map, and just start to boost it slowly. You can see that it really does change the image in great ways. So this is after, before. I think that looks fantastic. I think this is a really good shot now. I think this looks really nice, especially if you're a beginner. If you're more advanced, you might want to go ahead and add some different shadows and stuff to the rock formation, because this was shot during the day, so there's not a lot of shadows and stuff because the sun was directly overhead. But now there would be really, really long shadows in here. I'll just draw very basic. I'm not going to go through this tutorial right now, but a very basic. So there would be this really long shadow like here. There'd be probably shadows in here. Probably in here as well would be darker, and here. So it's just stuff like that. I'm not going to go through and explain how to do that, because this is just really basically showing you how to change the background in Photoshop, and hopefully you learned a couple different techniques as well. It's not just me holding your hand through editing a picture. It's me trying to show you a couple different techniques. So different things that we learned is how to use the magic wand tool to cut things out, how to use the select and mask to edit our selection a little bit and try and make it look a little smoother. We then used curves a little bit to do basic contrast editing, hue and saturation so that we could desaturate it and darken it a little bit, as well as using a gradient map to change the lighting and overall color tone of the photo. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I've got to get ready for class. If you like the video, make sure you like it, subscribe, show your friends, show your family, show whatever. In the future, I'm going to be having a lot more stuff. Hopefully soon I'm able to get things squared away with school, because right now things are just super tough, but I really like making these videos for you guys. So make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.